Hello! I'm Elaine, and I'm a tour guide in the French Quarter. I do ghost tours. And I am not going to tell you the stories that I tell on my tour, because you gotta pay for those. But if you want to hear some interesting things that have happened to me while I'm leading random drunk people around the French Quarter, I got you. So let me tell you about a very Mardi Gras weekend. So this year, the weekend before Fat Tuesday, I was doing a lot of tours because that's how it often happens. But one day in particular, I arrived for the 6:30 tour and I'm like waiting for my guests to arrive. And of course, because it's Mardi Gras, there are a buttload of people around in varying degrees of drunkenness, soberness, and just crazy. But I look up and I see a woman who looks to be very pregnant, like 9 months pregnant, holding a big ass beer in one hand and like a daiquiri in another, with her shirt up over her boobs, so flashing the universe, wearing basically nothing but beads to cover her front, and wearing tiny little shorts that barely covered the essentials, and just dancing around and singing, and I'm trying my best not to be judgmental, being like, oh my god, you cannot drink like that when you're that pregnant, like what the hell? And I was being super uncomfortable, wondering if I should actually say something, but also what good would saying something do? And then some of my guests come up and sign in, and we are all like making quiet catty comments, and the woman takes like 2 steps closer, and I go, guys, that's a fake belly. She was wearing a fake pregnancy belly, dancing around while drinking booze and flashing her fake tits to anyone and everyone who got nearby. And so that went from being a very uncomfortable moment to being pretty funny. And we were sort of laughing, though one of the women on the tour was still a little bit, like, offended by this. And I'm like, I mean, fair, but it's New Orleans during Mardi Gras. Like, it's not the worst thing you'll see all weekend. And almost as if to prove that, then my next group that came up were actually supposed to be on the family friendly tour, and they had missed it, so they'd gotten moved over to the bad bitches, which for the life of me I cannot understand why the company does this. These are very different tours, and sometimes it's almost inappropriate. And like I had this group, they seemed rather quiet and concerned, and like luckily the fake boobies lady was gone, so at least they weren't watching a pretend pregnant woman drink and cause chaos. And like they seem fine, and the rest of the group arrives, and some of them are very drunk and very loud. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a terrible tour. And we have like 28 guests, so it's a full tour. And finally, I have enough guests to get started, and I call them over, and we go a few feet down from where we start because it's easier over there. And I'm gathering them around, and I start telling my story, and almost immediately, I hear one of the really drunk ladies start laughing her ass off. And I'm like, oh no, what's going on? And I sort of look behind me, and guess who's back? It's our friend with her fake pregnancy belly, and she is dancing right behind me, smoking a cigar and drinking a big ass beer. And I'm just sort of like, I sort of acknowledge that she's there and make a passing comment to the tour mentioning that fake, like this is a fake belly, don't worry, you don't need to like throw a fit about this. And the people that came over from the family-friendly tour sort of looking at me like, what the hell? But I'm trying to just get this story done so I can move out of Jackson Square. And the drunk lady who first noticed her will not stop pointing her out. And I mean, literally, this woman is standing next to me, pointing with her hand up between me and her pointing finger, as if to hide from me that she is pointing at the fake pregnant lady. And I'm just like, oh my god, it's okay. Let it go. And finally, the fake pregnant lady goes away, and I'm almost at the end of the story, and I look up, and there is a person walking down the street who is buck naked. And I do not mean like wearing a G-string. I do not mean wearing like a flimsy see-through top. I mean there is not a stitch of clothing on this person's body. Not even socks and shoes. The only thing covering any part of this person is a Mardi Gras flag that she's holding vaguely in front of her and crying. And I'm like, oh, that looks like that was a bad incident. Something bad has happened here. And then she stops and starts fighting the building with this flag, like starts slapping the building with it while screaming random cuss words, usually fuck, over and over and over again. And at that point I was like, I think this tour can go ahead and just move on to the next location. Let's just go. Needless to say, the people who came over from the family-friendly tour did not make it through that entire tour.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to share your own experiences in the comments below.